Good evening. I'm going to convene the Board of Education meeting at 6:02. Roll call, please.
Chairman Balades?
Here.
Vice Chair Nafrio? Here. Secretary Sienna?
Here.
Judy Bannon?
Present.
Zachary Canada? Kim Dawson?
Here.
Victoria Lanza?
Here.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have our student representatives. Hi, welcome back.
During December, Mr. Ford's ECE SDSU Time and Place in Literature course included a guest speaker. Kevin Lamb, an educator from a neighboring district, and his mother, Boy Lamb, visited NVHS to address Mr. Ford's students. Ms. Lamb spoke about her experiences as a teen when departing Vietnam immediately following the Vietnam War. She discussed her memories of living in Vietnam, including in a refugee camp, including the stresses of the Vietnam War, the fall of Saigon where her family resided at the time, and being located in a refugee camp prior to transitioning to America via a sponsorship program through a church in Stanford, Connecticut.
The 2025-26 NVHS Program of Studies has been drafted and will be submitted to the printing company by the close of January. As in the past, distribution to staff and students occurs during February and then used during the course registration process. The 2025-26 NVHS program will include some important and significant updates, including approved new coursework, the Holocaust through memoir and media, theater arts, play production, and technical theater, and modified coursework, forensics offered at various academic levels by semester, introduction to culinary arts, global cuisine, and culinary arts restaurant management. The cover will include photos of the new facility, both exterior and interior. The NVHS Theater Arts class provided a production for parents and staff, which was Clue, during the evening of January 14th. Mrs. Manes has been the instructor for the high school elective Theater Arts play production this semester and has experienced great success.
On January 31st, members of the NVHS Dream Team will be supporting the annual TVES Health and Wellness Fair under the leadership of faculty advisor Nicole LaCroix. A series of events throughout the winter and spring are scheduled at JHS and TVES that the Dream Team will support. For winter sports, girls basketball is 6-3, boys basketball is 5-3, with both programs moving towards qualifying for the CIAC state tournament. Boys ice hockey is 2-5, boys fencing is 5-0, and girls fencing is 1-3, with continued progress. 16 members of indoor track have already qualified for the shoreline meet, and several students have continued to participate on co-op teams, including swimming, gymnastics, and girls hockey.
The NVHS Drama Club has moved ahead with auditions and rehearsals for the upcoming spring musical Pivot. Public performances are scheduled from March 27th through March 29th. The NVHS Technology Department will assist with set design and construction as in the past. This year, the newly opened technology education classrooms will be available and used when constructing the needed sets.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Good job, guys. Halfway through, right?
Yeah.
Midpoint. It's going to be a quick
Go
one.
by fast, isn't it?
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Any questions for the student reps? We're set. Good?
Thank
All right, have a
you.
good
Thank
night,
you.
guys.
You too.
Okay. Skip this. I do want to say.
I was just commenting that
Visitors to speak then or no, they can speak now.
we're at the midway point
Okay.
in the school year.
In the school year?
So the elementary teachers will always, they count off and it's an exciting point. The high school kids, they don't know what day it is, but they're halfway home. So especially as a senior, the pressure is mounting. But
I'm sorry, I skipped visitors. If there are any visitors, now is the time to speak. We'd invite you up if you'll just limit the comments to the items on the agenda. Anyone would like to speak? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. The minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda of the January 23rd, 2025 Board of Education meeting as submitted.
I'll second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing none, Okay, motion carries. We go to, now we do the minutes, Exhibit A.
No, that's under the consent agenda. Now we'll move on to the
My
superintendent's report.
Oh,
I just wanted to comment on the consent agenda that we were successful in hiring a replacement. We had the resignation, as I mentioned, at the last board meeting, and we were very fortunate to hire a certified active teacher that was in Waterbury at a high school that cut the commute for her. It was ideal, and we were thrilled to be able to get her at this point in the school year, so we're really pleased with our hire. So I just want to keep you updated. Communications are listed in the board packet. Obviously, as I mentioned, we're at the mid-year point. High school is just coming off their exam schedule, and cycling through the winter season is underway. It's been a busy time with the theater productions and everything that are going on within the buildings with professional development and a lot of the activities. So if you have any questions, they're here tonight to answer, and if not, I'll continue on. Okay, kindergarten registration, which is hard to believe we're underway, looking towards next year. Ms. Parker is here to answer any questions that you may have. It's in the process.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay.
any questions?
How many have registered so far?
Well, it hasn't started yet.
Oh, right, next week.
And it's solely online, which makes it very convenient for families to be able to just to do it on the number of them over from work.
Perfect.
3 answer, please.
I will be registering one of those kindergartners.
All right.
Yay.
Okay, finance report. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Vaughn.
Okay, we'll start with the financial report. I apologize for the late submission last night. And I also am going to apologize in advance. I did not attach the Family Resource Center under food service reports. I will do so in the morning and send those out to you. Just highlighting some of the notable areas for 24-25 so far. You may notice the billable object. These are salary expenditures that are paid through payroll but are reimbursed by our after-school enrichment programs. Any department or organization that may use our facilities after hours, they are billed for custodial use, and athletic game workers, which are reimbursed by the high school student activity fund. So just listed out those expenditures for you. Our substitute line continues to increase, mostly for the substitute paraprofessionals that we employed. And more recently, we added some expenditure there for a substitute nurse. And our substitute custodian continues to increase there as well. The custodial overtime for all our schools right now totals over $13,000. Our health insurance balance right now is negative $923, but as you know, each month employee contributions and retiree contributions are posted, so we do anticipate that that will be reduced as the year goes on, hopefully bringing us down to zero. Our rental object, number 440, is over budget currently. A couple things in that line item are the temporary gym, the porta potty rental at the high school for the fields, and the athletic ice rink, the rental for that. This year, when we budgeted for the athletic ice rink, we were going to have a co-op arrangement, but unfortunately that didn't pan out, so the district did pay for the whole ice rink rental.
Can I interrupt you and ask the superintendent what happened there? What?
So we have 5 players playing as a cooperative team for hockey because we didn't have enough players to field a team. So There's 3 towns with 5 players. So what we'll do is we will charge them, and I believe they are paying a fee right now.
Families are going to pay the fee this year because their building budgets and district budgets were already in place prior to us
Becoming a
for the
co-op.
So in the future, our desire is to build schools versus build families.
Right.
But Mrs. Conley, as the athletic director, has been very diligent in following up with families and schools to collect those fees.
So what happens is you have to apply to the state, and as we are the home team with the home ice, we have to submit to CIAC the information proving that we don't have enough to field a team, which we did not. So by picking up these 5 players from 3 towns, we got the approval, but it was past the budget season. So what we'll do next year, if we continue as a co-op, whatever the ice rink rental is, we'll divide it by the number of towns. So there'll be equity in payment and any other charges for coaching that we have and transportation. So they'll fund that through the town. But it just was the date of when it happened, and it's the reality of it. Ice is expensive, I can tell you.
Yes.
If you've ever had a child that has participated in ice hockey, you know about equipment costs, you know about ice rental, you know about travel. So it's equitable for these other towns, and we haven't had any resistance with giving these 5 boys an opportunity to play.
Is our home rink here or is it East Haven?
Norfolk, we're home. We're home to several towns that play out of our rink.
Will it be a regional team?
It already is.
Okay.
When you become a co-op team, you're a team of 2 or more. So right now in the state of Connecticut, there's 158 districts, and I think there's only 58 playing hockey. So there's more co-op teams than teams that stand alone. And you'd be surprised at some of these large schools that are now co-oping to play hockey. Because of the competition from juniors programs, they're not allowed to play high school hockey and skate with their team. They play private. So the numbers are down anyway, but then this also takes away from your team.
Right, and they get recruited for private schools as well. They leave home schools.
Kids go to the private schools for hockey, especially for hockey.
Yep.
Do we anticipate our numbers will be up or down for next year?
We have an 8th grade group where we think the numbers are going to start to come around. You have to understand too, we're coming out of the COVID rebound. So from when you do the math back to looking at your junior, sophomore class and participation right now, we're way down. And districts around us are way down. We have 12 total girls in our basketball program right now, and we were constantly running at 20 to 25 girls. So we're cut in half. We think over the next 2 to 3 years, we'll see that rebound and come back, and we're promoting a lot with our youth programs to try to get those numbers back up. But it's another one of those, blips from COVID being shut down for 2 years.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Let's see, our transportation, object 510, there's really no change there from last month. I continue to show a negative in the late run line. I'll be looking to find the funds necessary to fund that line. I don't want to take it away from something that is only going to cause a issue on that line, so I have to be careful where we transfer it from. Our electricity, which consists of electricity and solar, there's really no new information to report. We're still showing a negative balance of $153,000, and that is due to the administrative costs that we pay for solar. And our propane, which the buses, there's a few buses now that run off of propane under Object 623. We're currently estimating an overage there of $1,000, but we don't have an actual invoice yet. So until we get that actual invoice, right now we're estimating.
Mrs. Vaughn, may I ask you a question about that, please?
Sure.
So I guess I'm a little confused. I'm going to just let my ignorance show. When we contract with DATCO, we pay them quite a bit of money for our buses.
Yes.
Why is there an additional charge for, in a sense, gasoline? So isn't that included, or shouldn't it have been?
So in the contract, we did choose to buy the diesel outright, because when we buy it, there are no, there's a lot less taxes that a nonprofit or a municipality has to pay. But when DATCO went out to replace some of their older buses, they complied with the clean air requirements and went and got propane buses.
Okay.
So that propane will take the place of the diesel.
Okay.
But like I said, I don't know exactly what the propane is going to cost us. That estimate is based off of our actual last year.
Okay.
So we'll see how that pans out.
Thank you.
No questions are stupid questions. No questions are stupid questions. Nope. We all learned something.
And if you notice, there are a number of budget transfers that are attached to your packet. These are all cleanup, especially in the area of salaries. It's important to do these because when we make these revisions as needed, then our percentage increases on the proposed budget are more within line of what they should be, rather than being skewed and making it more complicated and hard to understand. There are a number of them, so I'll let you read through them if you have any questions.
Yes, Martha, could you just explain about the 283,500 that with all those transfers?
Yeah, so the biggest transfer, or one of the biggest transfers you'll see is the first one there, which is transferring a significant amount of money into the different paraprofessional lines. And the reason for that increase is twofold. First, the paraprofessionals have a new contract, so their rates did go up a little bit. And second, and more importantly, the district did lose the ARP ESSER 3 funding. That was a $618,000 grant that expired at the end of September of 2024. Out of that $618,000, there was $283,500 set aside specifically for paraprofessionals. So we need to put the money back in the budget. These are not new positions. They simply came from the general fund. When we had the grant and the funding, we transferred those salaries from the general fund to the grant, and now we have to transfer them back, unfortunately, because the grant is no longer around.
Was how long a grant was that? Was that like a 3-year grant?
It was a multi-year grant, but I don't know the specifics. I can get that for you.
Okay. So we knew this. We knew it was ending. There was a expiration date.
Yes.
For the grant. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions
I
on
have just
that?
one other question.
Yeah.
There's one section where you're transferring from a 457 ICMA contribution to a 403B Omni. I understand what a 403B is, but I don't know what the 457 IC. I assume it's similar, but for a different.
It is, yeah. The 457 plan is another program under the IRS that allows you to put away funding for your retirement. I believe the requirement of being of retirement age is removed from that, so that if a person invests into a 457 and then leaves employment, they're allowed to take that money out, whereas with a 403B, they must roll it over directly into another IRA product or get taxed.
Yeah,
That I know.
It's like deferred compensation, kind of. It's like I think that 457B is like called deferred compensation.
Yeah, I'm not very clear on the specifics of it, but I do know it's another tax advantage savings for an individual.
And we have that extra in there. That's what I was questioning. If people
So some of the contracts that we have allows for if the employee participates in either a 403B or a 457, then the contract allows for a small match. So when the employee has that choice, and so depending on what choice they make is where we take it from.
Thank you.
Okay.
Then I would like to make a motion to add a motion to approve line item transfers to the agenda item D, finance report, under the superintendent's report of the Thursday, January 23rd, 2025 regular Board of Education meeting.
I'll second.
And we'll take a vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries unanimously.
Then I'd like to make a motion to approve the line item transfers as submitted by the Director of Personnel and Business during the Thursday, January 23rd, 2025 regular Board of Education meeting.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Do you need the motions, Mary?
Okay.
I do have one other question about the finance report. And it's just a general question in the severance category. I'm fairly certain that we've had 3 teachers give their notice before January, which means we'll need to pay their severance this year, if I understand correctly. But we have just $45,000 in that column. Now, I don't know what days they have or, how that's going to flesh out, but that won't be enough money. So I'm just throwing it out there.
We'll be transferring from other lines.
Okay, yeah. I was like, that's a lot, and that's not there. Okay, thank you.
And those have to be paid, quickly. They're not, you can't defer that payment. It has to be paid.
Right, I'm sorry, you can probably answer.
The timing of when they
If they give
submit
their
their paperwork.
resignation before January, they're due it.
Certainly, if we have the funding available at the end of the fiscal year, it's better for us to pay those retirees. If we don't, I believe there is contractual language where we can move it over to the next fiscal year. But then you're really just kicking the can down the road if you do that.
Okay. I thought it had to be paid like within a certain time frame after the paperwork is in. Maybe it's different on the board side than on the town side. Which we didn't discuss the fund, the 2% fund. Do you have any update on that, on the finished audit from?
To my knowledge, the audit is not yet complete, or if it has, I haven't been contacted by our auditors. So I do not have anything new to report on any possible deposits into that non-lapsing account.
I'm going to ask our liaison for the Board of Ed from the council, Mayor Rose Angeloni, to give us an update on that. Can you speak to that?
Yes, at our meeting on Tuesday night, we asked the question about what the status of the audit was. It's generally due by December 31st. We have gotten an extension on it because we are having issues with munis, and there are figures, and it's mostly on our capital side, that the auditors cannot tie into right now. At this point in time, we do not have a date as to when that audit will be finished. I did talk to the finance director and asked him if this problem that is occurring on the town side, if it has anything to do with the Board of Education and the audit from the Board of Education, and he said no, it does not. The audit is not complete, and I don't know when that will be, but according to the information that he has received from the Board of Education office that he gets on a monthly basis, right now, I'm not sure what you anticipate to bring over into the 2% fund, but the report that I saw shows that everything has been expended. There is no money.
$5.
No, that was from the year before.
Well,
Right,
why don't I use
for
that
the
$5?
fiscal year ending 24, which is the audit that you're waiting for, which is the year that the town council allowed the Board of Education to transfer up to $600,000 into the 2% fund. Right now, according to the report that I saw, the full $33 million has been expended. There's no money.
I believe there's a encumbrance within the purchase orders that I did set aside I think when we met in the spring, it was $3 35.
Is that the PO for $460,000?
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Yeah. So right now, as of June 30th, there's open POs for approximately $1.1 million. A number of those were issued in June, so I'm not exactly sure. I did see that there's one for $460,000 to the Board of Education. So if the auditors let that stand, then I guess that money would come over, but the audit isn't going to be done for a while.
We'll just be gaining interest then. We'll just be gaining interest then.
I guess so.
That's better than $5.
Yes, hope so. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for that update. And then go back to the superintendent.
Okay, thank you. Open choice. We've been involved with the open choice program for several years, and we're just looking each year, we have to make a motion. We're locking our number at 26 open choice seats, and I need the board to endorse and vote on that. So there is a motion attached.
Can I ask a question on that one?
Sure.
So with open choice, how does that work?
So New Haven kids,
what's the cost?
New Haven students go into a lottery, and they are selected by the number of seats that we have in kindergarten through grade 12. And then, so for the last several years, we participated through Chef O'Neill, and we get paid $3,000 per student that comes to choice. So 26 times $3,000 per student will give you the number that we receive. And they get transportation provided as well. So they're a part of our system. They go through and they participate and do all the clubs and activities that we have. They graduate with their class. They get a North Branford diploma. And then we're given $3,000 per year per student for the number enrolled.
And is there any cost involved with
No, I mean, it's like any student coming in. 26 students spread out through 12 grades. You might have one or two in each grade level, possibly. So it's really zero impact. We're not on the hook for transportation or anything like that, and we do get the $3,000 to offset any expenditures.
Okay. That makes sense. And all right, one last question. The 26, where do we get that number from? Like, how did you?
We level off on what we think we can handle based upon our student population. It varies. If we felt like we couldn't handle, if our enrollment was to a point where like, my gosh, we're busting at the seam, we can't handle, that many kids at the high school or whatever, but we're not at that point.
How many do we have now?
26. We're asking to level.
Got it.
Yeah, so we have 26 enrolled. Once we have a graduating class, if we lose 2 kids, we take 2 new kids in that next year. So we capped at 26. We don't fluctuate.
I see.
Yeah, we're not taking 26 new kids every year.
No.
I wasn't sure.
No, it's total. So when they graduate out or leave the district, sometimes they do leave, then at the start of the next school year, we refill. We don't fill during the year. We wait until the next year. We're paid for the entire year, whether they stay or not. And then the next year we get back to the 26 where we have a gap. So I go through and I look at the chart, and if I have 5 kids at the high school, I'll look more towards the middle, lower grades and fill in blanks. Yeah,
Thank you.
you got it.
I think there's 17 seats that are returning for 25-26, is what the information shows here. So there's 9 open seats?
In the district, probably 9 total, yeah.
Okay. Do you need that motion?
The Board of Education endorses open choice, I'd like to make a motion that the Board of Education endorse open choice for the 2025-2026 school year with its continuation of 26 seats.
I second.
Any discussion? Take a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing none, motion carries.
Okay, similar to that, the ACES Education Center for the Arts, well, we have allowed 8 students to participate in grades 9 through 12 in the ACES program. They do a varied selection of coursework in reading, or not writing, in reading, writing, creative dance, art, music, and it's been a very successful program. The students absolutely love the program, so we're asking for you to continue with the funding of 8 slots for ACEs.
Any discussion on that? Any questions?
There's no motion. Do you need a motion?
Yeah, I would need a motion. I'm sorry.
Okay, who's going to make one?
So for discussion, we're just kind of doing this as a placeholder at this point, right? Because
Correct.
depending
We don't
on how
know.
the budget plays out, this may go away completely.
Right.
What do we pay for tuition with per student on that?
4 and change. What do we say?
I think it's around 8 change.
I don't know if it's that high. I don't know.
Pretty
So
close.
we'll find out you're holding a slot for it. If it becomes something that's a budget-related issue, we always can come back and revisit it. I don't want to say, I give you a number, I thought it was 4 and change that we paid, and then we provide transportation, but it could be that. So.
Yeah, it's probably between 6 and 8.
I don't know, is there a date deadline? Mr. Stuffler, do you have a timeline that we need?
I'm not sure the application deadline. I know that the applications are open now because on the spreadsheet that we shared with Ms. Matt, the freshman has applied for the sophomore.
Okay.
So I know that ACES is taking application now. I believe it's sometime in January or February that they close, but I'm not positive.
All right, but we could still apply. So why don't we do this? Let's put it back on for February. I'll have the exact price. I'll send it to you so you have all of that. And we'll revisit. That's right in the middle of our budget workshops anyway.
I have a
and
question.
we're only 3 weeks out from our next board meeting. No motion.
I have a question on the ACEs. If we were not to be able to fund this due to budgetary cuts, can parents elect for their kids to go and pay?
Sure.
Is
I
that,
mean, that's up to the parent. I mean, we've always provided it as an extra. We can't replicate, we don't replicate what they offer with, we obviously have a music program, we have a creative writing course, and we do a wonderful job. If you've never been to ACES and you're curious and you want to go over and take a look at it, I would highly recommend that you go and see the students in that environment and what they're doing. And I've gone on several, it's spectacular. It's a great program. So it'll come down to, do we have the funding source to do it? Yes or no? And if it's no, how would the students continue to be able to participate if they were asked to have to pay for that program?
and it's full, it's like,
Eight students, that's we cap.
so they don't come to school here?
No. They go to New Haven. They're bussed over. We co-op bus with East Haven, and several surrounding towns go there. So it's a very diverse program.
So it's an alternative to public school?
They do a half day here.
Half day, okay.
They
And then-
graduate
okay.
from the high school,
Okay.
North Branford High School.
Okay.
All their core classes are taken in North Branford.
Okay.
Their specialty elective items are there, but they earn a North Branford diploma.
Okay, all right. And what item number is that in the budget? Is
It's in the,
is it to regular publics, it's private?
Wouldn't it be ECA magnet 513?
513, yeah.
thank you.
Okay, EC Mag, thank you. Thank you so much, Vicki. Appreciate that. Okay.
That is the transportation, so the tuition
Okay.
is actually under $560.
Okay, thank you.
Regular public.
All right, so we'll get back to you on that, and we'll discuss that in February.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Lonsdale here, if you want to come up to the hot seat, Mr. Lonsdale.
Hello, everyone. So I just wanted to provide a brief update. You probably saw the communication or saw in the news several weeks ago there was a Power School data breach. So just to kind of inform the board of that and give you an opportunity to ask questions. So, just to set the stage in case you're not aware, so a Power School third-party contractor's credentials were compromised, which means those credentials were stolen by a bad actor. Those credentials were used to get basically into the Power School kind of back end of their system. That gave them access to every Power School instance internationally. So not only United States, internationally, it allowed them to access everybody's student information system and export student and staff data. That affected every single Power School district within the state of Connecticut, and most, if not all, within the United States. At this point, I can say pretty confidently that in North Branford, we are fairly lucky. We are fortunate that we do not store a lot of sensitive information within Power School. Obviously, I am not happy and frankly appalled that any information was shared, but the fact that we don't store medical information or a lot of personally identifiable information within Power School, we are frankly very fortunate. There are a lot of districts who are in a much more difficult position at this point. I did have a meeting today with the state tech director, and most of the tech directors from the state of Connecticut were on that call. The state attorney general is involved at this point. They are kind of leading the charge from the state of Connecticut's perspective. There are also 2 large class action lawsuits that are already filed against Power School, basically for breach of contract for not providing adequate security within their own systems. Power School is going to be taking the lead. Our understanding is within the next 30 days, they will be reaching out to all affected parties, whether they are students or staff. They will be providing identity theft protection and credit monitoring to all affected persons. So that is our expectation, that every student in North Branford and every staff member in North Branford will receive that. I am hopeful that that will happen within 30 days. It's their contractual obligation to get this going within 60 days of the breach. So roughly they have until the end of February should be a realistic expectation to see that communication go out. I'll keep the board updated as we get more information, but right now that's basically where we stand.
And how long was that information open, so to speak?
Yeah, so from what we can tell, going through our logs, the system was accessed for several hours on December 22nd, roughly at 2 in the morning. The person was in and out within a couple hours. They did one test to see if they could get into our system, and then a few hours later, they did an export, and they were out in less than 5 seconds. So once it happened, it was very, very quick. Power School notified us within their contractual obligation roughly the first week of January. It doesn't seem like they understood there was a breach until roughly 5 days after it happened.
We were lucky. Our social securities numbers are not.
They're not. So we are extremely fortunate, and we are even more fortunate that we do not store medical information within there. So other districts also had the students' medical information compromised. So we are very fortunate that we have a standalone system that stores that, and that system was not accessed and not compromised. We are very confident in that. We are also very lucky that over the summer I had upgraded all of our access on our side, so none of our credentials were compromised. Many other districts had to reset every single person's access because all of their access was compromised. We were not, so we were lucky with that.
Well, you're good.
Right, don't say it's lucky you did
That's
it.
why we
were proactive.
Right.
We tried.
We weren't breached on that part. The lucky part was that we don't have social security numbers.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Tom put a lot of time and effort when this first broke, and you can just imagine the world and the fact that they're able to breach and then hold one hostage for a payout is crazy. But that's the world we live in now, cybersecurity, and I know Tom is very involved with working with the latest and greatest and the updates on how to protect our system and systems. So.
At this point, I will say there is no evidence that any of this information was shared outside that bad actor. That bad actor did enter into some kind of agreement with Power School that we are not specifically privy to, but there's no expectation that that information will ever be shared. That being said, they are going to provide credit protection and monitoring for everyone, so we should be okay. Okay. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you. No town manager pending business right now. I am going to have John Florio step up to the podium.
Discuss a couple of things with you tonight.
Well, it's like a big file for a couple of things.
I will give you, bury you in some more paperwork. We'll start off with
Be
the
careful.
proposed storage building. I'll give you an update on that. We passed wetlands last night. It's flying colors. They're very enthusiastic about the project. I met with wetlands prior and discussed what they would like to see, where they would like the location of the building. We agreed on a site and we put it exactly where they wanted it. We had Nathis and Young Engineering come out and survey it and supply the town with the plan. And Wetlands was very happy with what we did. And now it goes to ZBA and then we'll have a discussion with the building department. This is a new incoming tech ed class, because now it's the second half of the year. So these students are the ones that will be heavily involved in all the facets of the building. But the earlier session kids will also be invited as well, you know, as far as getting involved. So what we're going to do while we're creating our budget, we created a template for the students to create the budget. And we want to see how they do. So we gave them a template.
No, just including the bidding process, the lumber has
Pass it
gone out
around. So this is a construction template that you find on the, a lot of contractors use it. It gives you every little thing that's involved in building. And they price it out. They go by the national standards, sometimes they go by the local standards. So we want to see how good the kids do on the pricing, on pulling out the job. So it's going to be part of what they do.
The whole thing is one template.
So if you're going to do a project, if they're going to get into the construction business, they know how to do it. They're going to have to know how to do this. So we got a little game going. We want to see how good they go, how good they do. So while we're creating ours, I'm working with local contractors on ours, and we will have it to present to the town when we're ready. Couple nice updates on the building, which is great. I don't know if you heard, but Barrett Roofing, who did the roofing job at the intermediate school, was so happy with the working relationship between us and them, they offered to put the roof on the storage building. So that is
At no cost?
large savings.
No cost.
That?
No cost?
No cost.
Yeah.
Is it
Also,
asphalt or a different roofing?
asphalt shingle.
Asphalt shingle.
Yep. Also, the permanent project building committee took a look at the plan, and they want to change the foundation plan from what we originally had. We had footings, walls, and slab. They want to change it to a monolithic pour. They said that that's what they did at the police station on their storage building. It was acceptable. Their building is almost the same size as ours. And permanent project said, we're going to do a monolithic pour on yours too. That saves dramatically on concrete costs. We do not have to have a concrete contractor. Monolithic pour, we're going to do ourselves through Public Works. We save concrete as well. So that's going to be a cost savings as well. So that's great news on the building.
Does Public Works, do we pay Public Works? Or
No.
they're doing in-kind donations?
No, we work hand in hand with Public Works every day. I do stuff with Public Works, they do stuff with me. It's a great working relationship between the Public Works Director and the guys and myself and the Board of Ed. We've had this great working relationship for years. And if I have a project going, Franny sends the guys over and we do it. He says, John, I need your help on this. I do it. There's no exchange. It's
kind of
mutual.
one.
Town departments help the town departments. So It's not,
Okay.
no issue.
John, where is this building?
Where is it?
Yeah.
Do you know where the Stone Road is? Okay, so if you go to the far corner of the student parking lot.
Yeah.
So you're looking at the football field. The far left, there's a gravel road.
Okay.
If you go to the end of the gravel road, there's a gate to let you in where the track and the field is. And then to the left is what we call the practice field. You can see that off of Mill Road.
Yeah.
That's where it is.
Okay.
Where all the steel storage buildings were.
There were steel storage trailers there before.
Right.
And thank God we're getting rid of those.
Thank you. Right.
So the second thing I just discussed really quickly with you, the superintendent's request, I met with the administrators on capital improvements. See if we had any ideas for the upcoming year.
Now, this will be discussed during the workshop. We're not going to discuss capital tonight.
Yeah, we're not going to discuss capital. I'll just give you a little thing of what we're looking at. Okay? So you guys are not blindsided. There are capital that always comes up. You guys, when the time comes, I could give you costs, and I could give you what I think is the most important down to the police department.
Okay. Perfect.
Any questions on the storage unit?
We've talked about it.
Enough, we
ad
got
nauseam.
it. We're okay?
Yeah.
Okay, and the news is getting better, it's not getting worse. We're getting cheaper things, more things donated, and we're gonna get the kids actively involved, not only in the build, but in the bidding of product and how that whole process works when you go out to bid. The lumber's out to bid right now. We talked to Mike Fumiati, and he's actively doing that.
Yeah, the lumber's out to bid, we're just waiting to see if any bids come in on the lumber.
And the business side of a build and how that process works. So that's going to be advantageous as well.
So we're gonna go to planning and zoning. We have to get through planning and zoning.
Yes,
And that's when?
that's the next step after what, Dave Perkins is gonna let me know.
Okay.
February 6th.
February 5th?
6th,
Sixth?
the first Thursday.
Okay, yep.
Rose, did you have something you wanted to say? You were raising your hand.
Yes, the RFP was on our agenda for Tuesday night, but it was tabled, just so you know, because the project is not approved yet. We do not go out for an RFP until the project is approved. So any RFPs that come through right now, until it is approved, will not go forward. So just so you know, it's not.
That's not new news either. We're aware of that.
Okay.
That's why you got the
Yeah,
budget tonight and the
Okay.
update. So, you know, we know the process and we know,
Yep,
and
we're
John's
just
being
following.
methodical in how he's
I
doing
know,
it.
but you just said that it was out to bid, and it is not out to bid. So I just wanted to.
Well,
No, the lumber-
He's handling the lumber.
The lumber,
bit.
the lumber,
That's the bid we got, it's in our agenda for Tuesday.
Mike put the lumber out to bid.
No, he didn't. And that's what I'm telling you.
Why didn't he put it out bid? We requested, I sent him all the information.
Correct. And so the RFP was on our agenda for Tuesday night. And it was tabled.
Because he didn't get any bids?
No, it didn't go out to bid. An RFP
Well,
is
that's not our
bid. And bid process, we had it on our agenda, and it was tabled because the project is not approved. So I just
So I think the simple solution
So to
is-
get the project approved, it has to go to planning and zoning first.
Now, we need a budget.
No, so the budget activity that they're doing now will be completed, and then they'll bring it to the council for approval. It's not, we're 90% through the most difficult part. I mean, we've spent more time on this than the
Yeah, we weren't
gazebo out
going to
front
do
here.
anything if wetlands said no and planning and zoning says no. We have to go forward and make sure that
Right.
the town agencies say, okay, you could do this.
Okay.
Right.
And so then it'll be tabled until the following council meeting? What
Well,
is-
we have to finish the budget first.
How
So
can
when
we
we
do a
get,
budget without bids?
we already have the number. It's only going to go down when he bids the lumber out, or it's going to stay the same. It's not going to go above. John already has a commitment from the lumberyard that it's not going to go above what was estimated. So the reality is, it's just going to be an exercise in putting these things onto a piece of paper, going before the council, John explaining it getting approved, and then the legwork that's the most difficult part, zoning and wetland, is behind us.
If you're doing, this project is changing every day. The costs are changing every day.
Right, but I do think that it's a little hard to do a budget when you don't have costs.
Yeah, it's changing. We started out with an estimated budget on what we had numbers, and then during this whole process of people saying we could do this, we could do this, we could do this, the whole thing is changing. It's morphing into something totally different, so the budget keeps changing.
And it's going down.
Once we nail down and we have everything set in the right way, and that will be our budget. What we end up with here will be our budget.
But in the budget calculations, just because this was not budgeted on our side at all, and I know town departments do work together, but you're going to need an estimate from Public Works, from Franny, as to exactly what the job entails. I'm not saying you have to pay for it, but you have to include that in your cost, because the town needs to know on our side what that cost, that estimated cost is going to be. How many guys, how many days, what are we paying for on this? Because that was not in our budget in any work.
But you're not paying for it, so.
Well, we are, because we still have to pay for these guys for doing it.
It's, I mean, we're
It's semantics.
we'll get everything that they need. We're 90% through the hurdle, and now it's just the paper trail, putting it through and getting it to the council. That's where we're at.
This is something that goes on every day. We work together every day.
Perfect.
We don't bill out to Public Works like over here where we're...
But when you do stuff for Public Works, do you have to submit how much you would have been...
We on the Board of Ed are installing the burner that is for Park Rec. We're not billing, we're not giving you billable hours for Park Rec. We're doing the job. That's how we...
But you don't present billable hours even though you're not going to get paid?
No, Franny doesn't do billable hours to us.
So I would just suggest that we get this budget together and that we check it with someone before the next town council meeting.
Yeah.
What we don't want to happen is you go to the town council meeting and it's rejected.
I agree.
So I would just say, let's make sure before we move to that step, that somebody, and I don't know who that would be,
Well, Franny Marola.
takes a look at that budget and knows that it's done in the way that it should be done, so we don't want to lose another one.
We'll run it through permanent project. They're the ones who will approve the final budget.
You know what I'm saying? I just can't see this being...
Permanent project will...
I agree.
So here's my question though, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I'm confused. Why does Franny have to tell the town council how many hours and how many guys if you don't have to do that when you do work for other people?
Yeah, we don't do it with anybody.
So why is it a one-way street?
No, it's not. Well, I don't know. On our end,
we don't do it with anybody.
that has to get filed every year with the state as to how much the town has contributed to the Board of Education. And it's generally through Public Works.
Okay.
On that. So it's a report that is required every year, and I can tell you, and I will get the exact numbers of what that report is for during budget season, but it's hundreds of thousands of dollars that is contributed from the Public Works, or which is the main department, towards Board of Education.
We actually
But
report on all of
it happens in all towns. I mean, it's nothing.
90% of what Public Works does for Board of Ed, as you know, is field maintenance.
Right.
Field maintenance, mowing, that's all done by Public Works. That is a large bulk of their cost associated with
But it's
Board
only
of Ed.
through Board of Ed and Public Works, it's not through any other departments. It's not through Board of Ed to other departments.
But it's the same.
Part of the EFS that I file at the end of every fiscal year includes what they call in-kind, and part of that in-kind are all of the services, not just Public Works, but even the percentage of costs related to the finance people over on the town side, and anything that is related to the town and between the town and the board gets reported on that in-kind schedule, and it's part of the EFS report.
Do we, in that report, also report what we have given in kind and not just received?
The report that I file is to the state based on Board of Education expenditures. I don't know if on the town side they file a report. I don't know that piece. I can only tell you what is required by the educational agencies to report to the state.
Okay. So John, I think it wouldn't be a bad idea if you were to start keeping track of the time that you're giving, you know,
To other departments.
quid pro quo, exactly. I can't say the words, but they didn't come out.
Yeah, I mean,
But just for knowledge.
just a few weeks ago, Franny asked me to go to town hall and
Yeah,
take
and
care of
honestly,
stuff there.
I mean, I think this is a wonderful working relationship. and I'm-
Well, it is, that's how this town works, you guys know that.
Right, but what I'm saying
That's how this
is,
town works.
when we're going to be in a tricky budget situation, I think that we should have an idea of how much we're also giving. to
Sure, and it
other
happens
people.
quite often.
So just kind of, if you can jot it down for
Sure.
us, and we will know then what your value was to other people in the town
Yeah.
the next year. I appreciate that.
Yeah, not a problem.
Thanks.
Great ideas. Thank you, Judy. Appreciate it.
Anything else?
Any more on the renovation project? All right, John, facilities update. We've done the storage building, the gym. Well, you've actually, here's the, this is the printout of for some reason, the gym expenses we've talked to you about. We haven't paid since November, December. The only thing we're paying over there now is the storage of equipment in one room for 800, which I reported to you last month. So
So I have a couple of questions about that. Are we paying any insurance on that?
it was covered for the year under our blanket, so
Okay.
it's not a big amount, and at the end of this year it'll go away.
Do our students still go there? Because
No,
isn't
our
it 24
students,
hour access?
December 1st, they started in our gym. So they are not, it's gated off, they're not there, they're not using it. We're using the high school new fitness area located on the second floor of the new high school. So that's the gym.
Okay, and then how big a space do you need for those, for the uniforms that you're storing there now? currently?
It's got to be climate controlled, and I can't get the square footage of the building of what I'm renting. The thought was, and I'm hoping that we get this facility up within the next year, so I can kill the lease there, and I can move that equipment and these uniforms into a climate-controlled building. So it's fair market price. When I rented the warehouse, I looked at 3 or 4 different locations. I don't want to say his name. Joe Teodosio did an amazing job working with us and getting this up and ready, and was by far the best price for a warehouse rental per square footage. And it's the same thing with the $800. It's, more than fair.
Oh, but how big is the space that you're renting? Do you know
I have to
approximately?
measure. I don't know, John, how big is that room? Where that equipment is?
12 by 12.
It's bigger than that. The back room where we have all these uniforms.
Yeah, that's bigger than that. That's kind of good sized room, actually. We have quite a bit of stuff. Maybe 25 by 20 by 20 maybe?
It's good size. It's a regular office, classroom. It's like a classroom.
Okay.
But we did have stuff stored in there that we could not put in any outside storage or anything. It saved big time.
On the rentals for
A lot of
those?
stuff that we needed to store.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Someone had offered a space, but it's not that big.
Is it climate controlled?
Yes.
Where is it?
It's Vin Candelora's Sportsplex. He has a room that he said he would just offer the town for storage. But I believe it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 by 15. It might not work for you.
This is much bigger. I'll look and see what we have, but I don't think that's good. It would have to be.
Equipment in there? Is that what's there?
Uniforms.
Uniforms, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so we run seasonal sports. So when your sport is not being run, all of your equipment, your uniforms, it could be disc javelins, it could be catcher's mitts, it could be basketballs, it could be footballs, it could be blocking sleds, it could be swords for our fencing team. So all of these things have to get stored somewhere. And, unfortunately, in the new building too, it's the one thing in every new build is you compromise on storage to get the double gym, to get the large weight room. These are the areas that get squeezed, and John will tell you. Even for storage.
Yeah, it's a beautiful building, but we do not have a lot of storage in the new high school.
And that's just the reality.
Unfortunately, we do not.
That's the reason we're building this outdoor storage building. It's to alleviate, to put the golf carts in, that one that got stolen a couple years ago.
Yeah.
We have expensive golf carts, we want to lock them and store them. All of this equipment locked and stored. That's why we're doing this.
Where are the golf carts now?
In the auto shop.
Okay, all right. All right, so that might not pan out, that offer of space. If there's any overflow though, perhaps if you need extra space.
No, that's very nice. So we thank the Sportsplex. We have a wonderful working relationship with them as well.
Great, all right, let's move on.
Committee reports. Negotiations?
No meeting, right, is that?
No,
Nothing, no meeting.
Budget and operations, I think Martha's up.
We're going to do that during, budget
Yeah.
during that? Okay.
Yeah, it's either, because we have policies to approve,
Tom's going to help me out.
and we might as well do it right now.
Oh boy, here we go.
So if you have a seatbelt, put it on. This is, and it's, listen, this is a quick overview. We're not going into a lot of detail because for many reasons, we've talked about the Fund 25 account, and as you just heard, it's either $5 or we don't know. So over the last several years, we have backed down well over $1 million to offset our budget each year. So in this presentation, Martha's going to go through some historical data of what we've received from the town in our budgets over several years. She's also going to show you enrollment projections so you get an idea, and other things that we've charged our administrative team with doing that. Looking at things that we've heard echoed in this room about pre-K costs. So the administration was charged, the special ed team was charged with looking at 3 scenarios that was to go to income-based for parents to participate to pay. So we've taken preemptive moves to kind of bring you that information as well. Nothing has been decided, obviously, because we haven't started the process yet, but we want you to be aware of what's happened behind the scenes. And what we're hoping to do is have a really honest, transparent conversation with both sides so that we don't go through a lot of hoops and false hopes that we're not going to get to where we need to get to. And then we're going to go out in the community, we're going to share the impact of our budget at different points if we're at different levels. And I can safely say that what we've had to do in the past has now come to roost with where we're at right now. So the numbers are real. There's no new initiatives in this. There are no new staffing increases. There's no new teachers, okay? There's no new programs. There's one shift in the elementary grade by eliminating a position and moving a position that would have zero impact at one of the elementary schools that we all are in support of, but would have zero impact on the budget. So that being said, Martha's going to walk you through a brief PowerPoint. It's just demographic information for you to look at what the administrators have put together and spent a lot of time. And when you sit in the room and you start talking about the magnitude of where we would need to get to if X, Y, and Z happens, I mean, they're emotional conversations. Because the one thing we want to do is preserve class size. We want to keep our students safe, and we want to give all of our pre-K through 22-year-old students an incredible opportunity. In a great community, in a great school system. So that being said, Margaret, sorry. I changed your name to say Margaret.
Okay.
Margaret.
So I'm going to briefly run through the PowerPoint, and then at the end, if you have any questions about the PowerPoint, I'll be happy to answer them for you. So Tom's going to help me out. We're going to start with projected enrollment. What does our projected enrollment look like for next year? Right now, we're anticipating an increase of 11 students at our schools. A total increase of 15 students district-wide, but 11 within our schools.
Can you just read, we can't see those numbers, so what's the total enrollment, please?
Total enrollment for the school-based is 1570.
Thank you.
Okay, so as Scott said, now that our preschool program is well established, our Director of Special Services was charged with coming up with possible funding scenarios for the program. Our staffing for the program currently consists of 4 paraprofessionals and 4 teachers, and that total staff cost for salaries only, no benefits, is $335,000. Currently, we have the use of our IDEA 619 grant and 2 Smart Start grants. The Smart Start regular grant and then the Smart Start recovery grant. So that total funding with the IDEA grant and the 2 Smart Start grants and our small cost is $335,000. That's right now. So the 3 scenarios that we looked at, the first one is to leave it as is. So you could see there that we would still maintain the IDEA 619 grant and the 2 Smart Start grants. In addition to tuition, which would result in $185,000 of revenue. So that tuition, estimated tuition is based on 37 full-time peer role mentor slots, and we're using the Office of Early Childhood sliding fee scale.
Well, if there's 60 kids, why would it be 37?
37 is for the model students. You cannot charge for special education students.
Okay, makes sense. So
Now, we have applied for 3 grants. We just don't know the outcome of the applications.
The second scenario.
When do we know that?
July.
The second scenario uses the tuition, the Smart Start grant, and the IDEA 619 grant, and assumes the elimination of the Smart Start recovery grant, which means that the Board of Education responsibility would be $57,000 for tuition, for salary costs. Scenario number 3 uses the tuition of $185,000, the IDEA 619 grant of $18,000, and assumes that both Smart Start grants are not funded for the coming year.
Now the Smart Start grants are the ones you applied for that we're waiting to hear in July.
Yes. So the scenario that we used just for this presentation, just because we needed something, is we took the middle road. We're assuming that the Smart Start recovery grant is not funded, but that we do receive the regular Smart Start grant of $75,000, and that we will continue to receive the IDEA 619 grant of $18,000, which together with the tuition of $185,000 brings the Board of Ed responsibility to $57,000, which still, with those totals all added up, still equals the total cost for our staffing for the preschool program. Okay, so
Before we move on, just Alberta, is there anything that you'd like to add to share to what we just showed? I know that you and Ms. Parker had a meeting tonight, a Zoom meeting.
Am I good sitting in the back?
It depends how you project your voice from back there. Thank you.
So we did have a preschool information night tonight. Ms. Parker, Ms. Dinklage, and myself just came from that. We had 92 families join. The majority of those families are families of students that are looking for the role model slots. We did ask for those families that are currently enrolled to attend in order to to share this information with them. Our biggest thing is ensuring that our families are prepared. So knowing that while we're in January, finding preschool for your child, if you need it, is something you need to start early. So we did indicate that we were looking at this as a potential for a tuition-based program. That information was shared along with the scale that we're utilizing for tuition. The scale that we're utilizing for tuition is the Office of Early Childhood sliding fee scale for Smart Start classrooms. So it is an income-based program and it looks at so all of that information along with that sliding fee scale document was shared with all of our families so that they can anticipate what the costs would be. The cost that you looked at in terms of the tuition was based on, I think I calculated about 40 role models in the 4-year-old classroom and between 7 and 8 in the 3-year-old classroom. 7 and 8 in the 3-year-old classroom, it's a part day program. It's just important to note that because if those numbers change in any direction, we need to be prepared. In terms of those Smart Start grants, those Smart Start grants do have qualifications. So we have to ensure in order to hold, each grant holds 15 slots. And those 15 slots, we have to ensure that at least 75% of that, we need to ensure that those students are at or below 75% of the state median income. In the event that we can't guarantee 15 slots for each, that's where we have the risk of losing a grant. So while we're using a sliding fee scale, and for those families who have lower income are going to be paying less, it may result in those families pulling their children out and staying home. That's the alternative for those families, and so I've reiterated that, I think, 3 or 4 years now, that's a concern that we have. So that's why we provided multiple scenarios. Do I think that we can fill 15 slots? I do. Do I think we can fill 30 with a tuition-based program? It's a concern that I have, but that's a concern that's been shared publicly over the course of the last few years, and I just want to make sure that you guys are aware of the potential impact. I think that covers the details. Are there any questions that, yep?
Is the pre-K program mandated by the state?
We are required by the state to provide a preschool program to students identified as having special education needs, and we are not a self-contained district. Therefore, we provide what are called integrated classrooms, so 50% of our classrooms need to be typical peers, so that's where the role models come in.
Thank you.
Because I'm in early childhood and I'm going to have a lot of parents asking me, because I got a lot of phone calls before this about when is the meeting, how can I sign up? Approximately how much will people have to pay on the fee? Like what's the low and the high?
The lowest, so what I did for this activity was I took our current enrollment, and so our lowest from the group that I pulled from, the lowest was $25 a week. The highest was approximately $237 a week.
And then, is it different for the pre-K 3 that's half day?
It is a different amount. It's based off of, and the sliding fee scale takes that into account. So when you're looking at the percentage of your income that would go towards childcare, it does take into account whether you're looking at the 3-year-old part-day program or the 4s. Our 3-year-old program next year, it is part-day program. It is also going back to the 4 days. So while I'm talking about things on a weekly basis, we are only charging families for the days that their children are there. So if we have a 4-day school week, we're only charging 4 days of tuition. We're not like a regular child care center where it's open 5 days a week, 52 weeks out of the year. So that information has all been shared. As I stated, I gave the document with the presentation tonight along with the sample calculation. And also the schedule of payments will be provided to each family individually because we're accepting 3 payments over the course of the year. Just as a Board of Education, accepting weekly payments, even monthly is a huge lift. We're not adding any staff, so the clerical staff that are currently managing within the buildings now are the staff that are going to be managing, accepting payments and running all of that.
So pre-K 3 is going from 5 days to 4?
Correct.
And transportation is provided.
Correct.
So nothing changes with the transportation piece. it's rolled into the cost of the tuition.
But I would assume if somebody was paying $237 a week, they wouldn't pay that for a half-day program.
No, that was the high end, so that's a 5-day a week on the higher end of the income program, full day.
Okay.
Will that PowerPoint be available online, or can it be shared with us?
I believe you put it on the district website.
Okay, so we can
And then-
check out that slide, the scale will be on there?
Absolutely.
Okay,
And
thanks.
that's, they
And
pay,
also, I'm sorry?
no, I'm sorry, they pay the tuition in 3 payments?
We're going to do it in 3 payments, which is in line with what surrounding districts do. Surrounding districts actually ask for tuition in 2 payments. But what we're doing is doing 3, so we'll have the September 1st payment, we'll have a November 1st payment, and then November 1st, and then we'll have an April payment.
Okay.
February. Yeah, February.
September, November, February?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we do research of surrounding towns just to ensure that we're aligned with what other districts are doing. We're not a replica of other towns. I think what we've done is individualized it to the needs of North Branford. And again, we're putting this in place preemptively. And I'm sure that we're going to get a lot of questions along the way, and we'll be prepared to answer those.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms.
Only
Alberti.
because I know I'm going to get hammered.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I'm getting calls. So,
Now, when you do get a call, and you do accept it, you can send it to Sarah. So if there's any specific questions, as we said in the past, you're not going to get an answer right away, but if you have something regarding this or the budget process, I've always said, here, put it in writing, send it out, CC me, so I'm aware that, these questions are being asked. All right?
My call was on the meeting tonight, so that's what was.
Oh, no, I'm saying in general.
Oh.
And not just for but in general, for anything budget related or whatever, you know the process, and just get it to me, CC me, and give the administrators enough time. And obviously your board members too. We wanted to do that before, so we weren't getting 8 different things about one topic. If you're all included, it makes it easier for me to then get it to the right person, so we're not all doing a lot of homework.
Yeah, redundancy.
All right, that was just a side note, so. Martha,
Okay.
give us the good news.
So our proposed budget increase for next year is 8%. That is $2.7 million. 75% of that increase 75% of the total budget is made up of salaries and benefits, and 25% of the budget is for teaching and learning and for the maintenance of our facilities, which includes utilities.
so 75% of our total budget is contractual obligations?
75%, yes, is salary and benefits. Yep.
Which are contracted, correct?
well, contracted is also busing, but that's not salary and
Right.
benefits. This is,
But I mean, like, our salary and benefits, we don't have wiggle room on because they're union contracts, is what I'm asking.
Right, the bargaining units, yes.
how many employees do we have?
Roughly 330, just over 300.
Because I know it's been, we're like 65% of the town's budget, but we're also the largest employer. What was it? Yeah, I don't know where we should put this in the agenda, but I would like maybe to get a communication committee meeting together, convene the communication committee and talk about things budgetary. I mean, maybe the town, I don't know, maybe the town can take over the utilities, and then that's less money that we have to ask for. I don't know. I mean, I'd like to...
I'll keep this side of town, you can have North Branford.
No, that's quite all right.
I'll keep Wallingford Electric, you can have, you will have. So,
What difference does it make if utilities are on the Board of Ed side or are on the town side.
It's the same pop. No, but
It's
there's
the same pop, but the
The
perception
idea-
is that our budget is so huge. But
Right.
much of that is for town buildings that we utilize and pay for, maintenance and electricity and heat and that kind of thing.
So I think the
Right, it's
idea of the
perception of it.
communications meeting, if I'm not hearing any, I can put it out to whoever the liaisons are for communications.
I'm on
with-
communication.
I think I am too.
So we'll find out, we'll get it out, we'll get it down to town hall, come up with, you guys can put feedback in for dates of a meeting to talk about the budget.
I mean, with the budget coming and everything, I think we should sit at a small table and have some serious conversation.
I agree. And
Well, I actually was going to suggest that you reconvene the budget committee, subcommittee, because we used to meet monthly prior to your Board of Ed meeting pre-COVID, and a lot of this was discussed. And, they could be discussed, and I think that is a meeting that is worth, a subcommittee that is worth reconvening.
Well, that's, okay, we'll
I mean,
discuss
if
that.
that
But
could-
for now, building this budget, I mean, that would be for, in the future, for now.
Well, anything related to
We have
budget.
we have our dates for our workshops. Let's come up with some convenient dates that we can sit down and look at next year's budget, break it down, share it with the town, and start with that communication.
And honestly, I don't have a problem reconvening the budget subcommittee. I don't have a
No,
problem.
but before we do that, 'cause
Right.
it's going to be,
Well,
we're in the budget right
Right,
now.
right.
We have a timeline. A lot of work is going into this. I don't want to go around in circles here.
Yep,
I want to
I agree.
sit and have honest conversation
Yep.
across the table, and let's put it out there. Ask the tough questions, dig into this, look at it, and move forward.
Okay, so we do look at the budget by function. Function is the 5-digit account number that is in our account structure. It classifies the type of expenditure by program or department. So what we do is we group all those functions together in these like categories, and when we do that, you can see the percentage change among each of those large groups. You can go ahead.
They have it in writing.
Yeah.
They're not going to.
When we take the same information and graph it using bars, you can see visually where the largest increases are, salary, benefits, and transportation. And then we also look at it in a pie form.
I like it like that. I like it set up like that. It makes it,
Yeah. We next look at the budget by location. You can see each of the different locations is listed out there: Jerome, Tucket, the intermediate school, the high school, the Orber House, auditorium, and district-wide. District-wide consists of those things that are not directly tied to one building. So those are the things like our special services, technology, our transportation benefits, property and liability insurance, and professional and purchase services. The question we get most often, or anybody gets most often, is when we're talking about the budget is what's changed. So I put together a little summary by object to give you a very quick rundown. I'm not going to go down the list of everything. I'll just highlight a couple of the larger ones. There is an increase in the budget for our substitutes, long-term substitutes, building substitutes, and our daily subs. These all need to be increased to reflect our actual expenditures that we're seeing right now and that we've seen in the past. And the substitutes are necessary for regular sickness, for FMLA, for workman's comp, any reason why a staff member would be out. There's a large increase for health insurance. We are estimating a 9% increase based on last year and what is trending. But in addition to that 9% increase, I also have to make up for the payment that we made for July of 2024 last June of 2024. So we did that for two reasons. One, because the invoice is due July 1st in order to keep our insurance active. But secondly, we needed to do that because we were short for the current year based on what was approved for us for the 24-25 fiscal year. On the next page, there's an increase for property services. This is specifically for facilities. Our actual expenditures for keeping our buildings maintained with our preventative maintenance and annual contractual things where we have to do grease trap cleanings and elevator inspections and even fire extinguisher inspections, all those things that we have to do behind the scenes to keep our buildings running and operating smoothly facility-wise. We're seeing a large increase there. As far as transportation, again, there is a 4% increase in our contract with our transportation vendor, but we also need to add funding into the budget for our late bus. As I just said a little while ago, I don't have a line in the current budget for late bus, so we're adding $36,000 for the late bus there. We're anticipating an increase in our transportation for outsourced special education, as well as the need for a new district phone system and TPX lines. That cost is $52,500. There is a decrease in another line that we have for telephones that we won't need with the new service, so the net of that is a $35,000 increase. There's also a very large increase in instructional supplies, mostly due to the required curriculum shift from the state mandate, early literacy, and the loss of the Right to Read grant. And then finally, on the next page, we have to increase our electricity account specifically for the costs associated with the solar and the charges that we have to pay for solar, and that is $280,000. Our diesel is anticipated to increase by $72,000 in order to lock in the rate we currently have. For this fiscal year, we did make a payment of $73,500 last June of 2024. And so when all of these, those are the big things that I highlighted for you, but when you add everything listed there, it comes out to our requested increase of $2,718,404. Also listed out for you is increased by affiliations. So overall, salaries are increasing by 3.34%. You can see here the differences by our affiliation groups. And the largest increase is for paraprofessional salaries. As I said earlier in my report, we did need to increase the paraprofessional salaries for their new contract, as well as account for the loss of the ARP grant.
And minimum wage.
And minimum wage.
That's something.
Yep. Okay. Our status quo budget is 6.16%. This increase has compounded over the past few years because we haven't received the status quo funding in the past years, so that effect just keeps rolling. Instead, we've kept our programs going with the use of our non-lapsing account, we know it as Fund 25, and the grants that we were fortunate to get along the way.
So if you look at that number of 629, it equates to about 2% of what we were talking about.
Right.
So that's been the bailout for several years with the status quo. And like I said, start off this process that it's not there now.
This is a list of some of the things that would need to come out of our proposed budget just to get us down to the status quo. I apologize for it being so small, but again, I'll just highlight some of the bigger things. All the increases for the substitutes to cover our classrooms, that would need to come out. We would need to take out $17,000 for our contractual severance payments for retirees. Professional development would be cut by $3,400. $2,700 would be cut from athletic reconditioning. $9,800 would be taken out for our security system repair and maintenance. Purchase services would be cut by $11,000. All field trips would be removed from the budget. That's $11,964, so that cost would fall on the families. The latent bus would again need to be eliminated. Instructional supplies would need to be cut by $62,159. Digital subscriptions would need to be cut by $8,500. We would have to remove $21,000 in our other supply lines, $14,445 in equipment, and $7,300 in dues and fees. We did mention the Fund 25 earlier this evening. This just goes over what the Fund 25 is. It's our non-lapsing account. We have $5 that we know about, which was at the end of the 23-24 fiscal year, and any contribution we will have from the 24-25 fiscal year is, 23-24 fiscal year is still to be determined. And this is just a history of, over the years, what we have requested as far as a proposed budget, what the town has actually approved, the difference between those two, and then the percentage increase. So, as we mentioned before, the current year, we are relying almost entirely on the general fund because the non-lapsing account right now, there's nothing in it. And that concludes our brief presentation. If anybody has any additional questions?
Now, again, February 5th is our first meeting. So take this packet back, formulate questions, ask for things from us.
And again, any questions that you're mailing in, email everybody. All, include everybody.
I did that today.
I do have
The workshop,
extra packets here if anybody.
the workshop will give you the opportunity to speak directly with each administrator specifically about programs, staffing, class sizes, trends, anything that you think are, part of you making your decision on what you're going to, support. It's important for us. It's important to have these conversations to understand the impact if, we have to make these cuts. And you have to be a part of it. You have to, everyone's going to own it. Because when we go back to the town, we're going to ask for, their support. And we're going to really reach out. I'm meeting tomorrow with our PAC group with Martha. We're going to go through this packet with them. We're going to meet with the PTO groups. We're going to possibly do a forum in the auditorium for a question and answer, just to really reach out and get our population of parents educated. So I'll keep you posted on all those dates as well.
As hard as it is asking for this money, as hard as it is on the taxpayers, hopefully, I don't know how this all works with the reevaluation and everything else, and we're all taxpayers here, and nobody wants to be paying more money. Our job is to support the school and the students and give them what they need. 75% of this is salaries and benefits. you know,
There's not a lot of wiggle room.
yeah, there's not a lot of fluff. There really is not. We're not asking for new positions, but it is our job to advocate. If the town shuts us down, they shut us down, and we go back to the drawing board and we figure it out. You know, but it's not going to be easy. It's hard. It really is hard to ask for this, but...
It's no different. You run your household. Nothing went down in cost. And we've relied on this 25 account for the last several years. And I can give you the exact number of what we've spent over the last several years. And that's why we've been able to survive on, 0.78, 1.5, 0, that's out. That's
Yeah, we're surviving, but how much could we be doing?
Well, you bend until you break, but now we're at a breaking point, and everyone has to be educated in the process, question in the process, come together as a group and decide what you want to move forward. That's the charge.
I mean,
We've worked hard to get programs established in this district that you're proud of. That when you walk around the schools and you see student engagement, you see opportunities, and you look at those selection guides, and you look at our special education program and how we're a model, not only in the area, but in the state of Connecticut. And what opportunities our students have. Being in this town, we talked about co-op before that we have. Girls playing hockey with other teams.
We may have to go back.
Fencing, all of these things that, for a small district, we have our advanced placement courses. These are the conversations you have to have about, what's the impact with
we may have to go back to pay for play for sports.
Well, everything's on the table. I mean, there's...
You have to consider everything.
Absolutely.
Everything's on the
There's
table.
nothing that can be, we've never done that before,
No.
it didn't work, it wasn't enough money, every penny will count this year.
We're way past that. Everything is on the table right now. Everything.
It's also, I think, from my end, frustrating to see how much we've increased test scores, how much we've done to bring bigger populations to our arts and music department, and the potential of things being cut, to watch our test scores drop again, to watch, now middle schoolers, high schoolers can't get a ride home for an after-school thing, so now they can't learn music. They can't do a sport. So it's all this time that we put into this over the past couple of years to see the potential of it being taken is frustrating.
And look around, everything that's being built, all the houses that are being built are big homes. People with students people with children that are going to be in the school systems. I mean, we're not building little houses, we're building big 4 and 5 bedroom homes,
And people move here for the school system. The first thing that they look
You
at
built a
is...
$74 million high school. Why did you build it? If you build it, they will come. What's the inventory in town right now? It's real estate. Extraordinary.
13,000, but I got a question.
Fire.
Why did we build a smaller one when we were assuming people coming in?
Smaller high school?
Yeah.
Because of my enrollment's up 11 students next year. And with all these new houses coming in, it's only going to increase over time.
Well, there was a formula of what the state would, there was a formula that the state would reimburse us for based upon enrollment.
Don't think for a second we oversized the school.
No, she said
No.
small.
She said,
Why'd you build smaller school?
She said, why didn't you build it bigger?
That's what I just said, the opposite way. I don't think that we oversized the school. It's a formula, and it's looking at enrollment trends and the future. The one big knock in this town is you built a middle school with a gym that you can't play a game in. And so we've done things in the past in this town where we look at it and shake our heads and say, we're embarrassed by that. We put $10 million, quote me if I'm wrong, on the middle school roof because it's a flat roof with all of the heating and cooling on the top and it seeped water. So, your high school you should look at and say, wow, this is a state-of-the-art facility for the next 60 years you can be proud of. You're not going to ever look back and say, I wish I built it smaller. You're going to say, thank goodness we built it to size that we can take on another 100 students. And we can easily take on another 100. And if we keep trending 10, 11 per year in a short period of time, you're going to have 100 more people than the high school students.
It's only state-of-the-art, though, if we can keep up with it.
Well, it's if you offer the programs. That.
And the maintenance of it. We built a very expensive school that is very expensive to now maintain.
Right.
And if we don't have the budget to maintain it, then what happens? It slips through the cracks.
Backwards.
Let me just say, regular people allowed to talk?
There will be time. There will be time.
When we started talking about the high school, the reason we kind of pushed it was because we had the enrollment up. If we waited a year, we would have lost more square footage.
Right.
So we pushed it for that.
Yeah, it's all formal.
Exactly.
It's an enrollment.
Square
And listen, you're not oversized. When you look at the capacity in your library, in your auditorium, in your cafeteria, excuse me, you're not oversized. In a high school that, is over 500 and is going to continue to grow. People are going to move into these 4-bedroom, $700,000 homes with children. They're established families coming in. And we see that we're getting enrollment in, when there's inventory.
So we are going to figure out a communication date.
I'm going to put it out to everyone and find out who's on that town side. I'll check tomorrow who's on our side.
It's me and Marjorie and
then
Zach's an alternate.
We'll send it to Mike Downs to put out, and then we'll come up with a number of dates and times where people can make it and just make it work.
Maybe we have to educate people too about the reval, what the effect, the increase in the grand list, so.
Yeah, Anthony Esposito will be there.
Okay.
He can answer all those
That's
questions.
important for people to understand as well.
Yeah.
People are
Well,
thinking,
reval hasn't been, the grand list has not been certified yet, and it will be certified until our February meeting.
okay,
We won't have those numbers until then.
okay.
So if you have meetings prior to that, that information will be out yet.
Okay.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Okay. Budget, curriculum instruction.
That was tonight.
Carter presented his curriculum, what he had done for the last year and this year, and it looked like for the budget, substantial lowering of what he needed, and also some kudos to Tom, who worked on technology and bringing that down. But a lot of the programs are costing us less, or how we're using, maybe printing our own instead of buying books. So he worked really hard on bringing it down, so kudos.
Thank you.
Pension.
No meeting.
We have some policy, Beth, you want to?
Sure. Okay, so the first policy, P2600, we would like to make a motion to repeal this because we don't need it as a motion. We have a plan that was accepted by the state for increasing educator diversity plan, and the plan will be published and even
Town website.
On our site, too.
Town website.
so we don't need it as a policy. So we'd like to make a motion to repeal policy P2600, plan for minority staff recruitment to comply with Connecticut legislation.
I'll second it. Okay, take a vote. Everyone in favor of repealing policy 2600, plan for minority staff recruitment, please say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any opposed? That passes unanimously, Mary.
So there's a first read for policy 3205, Wayne grades, and there's a in the packet chart of how that works. And then policy P7460, retention and disposition of records, again following some statutes, how it should be done. And then for our second read, we have P1120, student discipline. I'd like to make a motion to approve policy P1120, student discipline as submitted.
I'll second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any opposed? There's none. That is unanimous as well.
And then P1170, suicide prevention and intervention. So I'd like to make a motion to approve policy P1170, suicide prevention and intervention as submitted.
I'll second.
Okay, anyone have any questions about the policies that we have? Okay, take that vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? None. So that passes.
ACES?
No.
Sorry. No, I didn't go.
I was unable to go. I had a 94th birthday for my father-in-law.
Oh, happy birthday. Nothing for ACES.
Nothing
I'm
for
sure their
ACES.
charge is going up as well next year.
Oh, you can bet that.
Yep.
Do you know what that charge is, by the way? Do you know what that, just to be a member?
A lot.
A lot?
We'll get it for you. The ACES,
Okay.
what do we pay ACES?
I'd have to look for you.
I'm going to give you a quick punch list. Landscaping change order work for the building project. There are 175, actually it's down to 60 open items right now on the punch list. The landscaping change order, we had a lot of washout in December, so they're currently reviewing with the design team to determine the best way to prevent, when we have heavy rain, the washout on the backside of the building. As you pull into the athletic complex on the right-hand side, you'll see over 1,000 plants on the hill. Where what happens when we get an excessive rainfall, it's washing out and coming down into the parking lot. So they're working on that. The handrail on the gym lobby staircase, the pricing has been submitted. They'll go through it. Permanent project will review it, and we'll have a hand railing there. For safety purposes, that's in the gymnasium entranceway. As you go up the stairwell to the second floor, there was an open stairwell that we were not comfortable. Floor expansion joints that we've submitted to the architect for one part of the building where it's not consistent with the other part of the building for a cover, and it's a trip hazard, so we want to make sure that that floor extension joint is covered properly so we don't have students or staff tripping. The fitness room is complete and running in the fitness room, in the audiovisual system. Culinary lab, they're mounting 3 televisions, student display monitors in the cooking area so students can interact and watch their teacher from the teaching station. The dust collection system in the tech ed is balanced and has started up. The motor was on reverse. So it was not functioning. So the guy came out, they repaired and redirected the motor. Everything is working now in the tech ed space. So we're getting there.
Building committee?
That was that, yeah.
Oh, that was building, okay.
Communication was a meeting that we wanted to have to get the communication.
Okay. All right, new business? New business visitors.
And actually, my husband just, but anyway.
Can you come up to our desk there?
Oh, sure.
And just state your name and address, please.
Sit down.
Sure. Be comfortable.
Or stand, it's whatever you're more comfortable with.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Yeah, so my name's Linda Hilson, and actually I know a lot of you. I know you because my son played basketball at North Branford. Our kids collectively went through school here, and it's a great school system. It's a great town. My kids got a great education. One of them actually was special needs and had support all through high school. I mean, it's a wonderful place to live. But I do want to say just a couple things, because there was this mention of like 7-bedroom homes and big homes being built here. And my husband and I have noticed that. Like the landscape of the town has sort of changed over the years. But there's a lot of people who live here who sort of aren't part of that, right? I'm kind of here representing them. I'm 65. I'm on, not retired, hoping to semi-retire maybe in a couple years, spend time watching my grandkids or whatever. But as I'm sure most of you know, it's not very affordable. And I'm particularly concerned about taxes going up in the town because I've invested in my home here. I paid for my home as a single mom on my own for like 30 years. We're late married in life. But I want to continue to live here, right? So there's a portion of this town that's represented maybe by wealthier people who have a ton of money, and then there's other people in the town who maybe aren't. And so I'm kind of here to speak for them.
I took a lot of notes. I can see 75% of the budget is salaries. There's not a whole lot you can do about that. But maybe there are other things you can consider. My trade is writing. I'm a writer, so I'm a public relations person. I do marketing. I never had a big job because I was a single mom. So I focused on my kids, right? That was my most important job, not getting ahead in life and making tons of money. But, I would encourage you to exploit people in town who maybe want to volunteer. You talk about, that line item, for example, with substitute teachers. I don't have teaching experience. I have a master's in a different field. But I would be, I'm sure there's a lot of people in town who would be willing to contribute and volunteer where their skills apply. Grant writing, there's another thing. I don't write grants. I've never written a grant, but I write articles. I do social media. I do a lot of things. I've already offered to the town to volunteer and help out. Not everything has to have a number affixed to it, a budget number. So I would encourage you to look for those opportunities. You talked about things like co-oping on the hockey. Well, you also talked about transportation expenses going up. Maybe there's an opportunity to co-op with other towns and negotiate better agreements on things like transportation or I don't know what. I mean, my degree's in business. My undergrad's in creative writing. But I would encourage you to look for those opportunities and to keep an open mind that not everybody's living in that 7-bedroom house. You have retired people here. You have people who are going to retire. You have single moms paying $400 electric bills, huge grocery bills that they didn't have to pay years ago. So think of those people. Be considerate of those people. They love it here too. That's all.
Just for clarification, the 7-bedroom homes, I wasn't talking about, my point was they're bringing more kids into the school system. I wasn't talking about money and wealth and all that. I was saying that that's more students that are going to come into the school that we
okay, need to for projected enrollment, I get it.
That's my point.
That may have been your point, but the other point is, yes, that is a reality in this town. The landscape of this town is changing. I've been here 30 years. And those weren't my neighbors 30 years ago. Those weren't the homes that were in town. Just be mindful that the people who live here aren't all represented by those wealthy communities. You have retired people. I mean, I've posted on the Facebook page about this concern, and you know what people have said? A couple people have said, well, you're getting on 65, get out of town, move. You can't afford to be here, leave. No. I mean, people have invested their whole lives here. My son lives here, my grandkids live here, and I want to stay here. We want to stay here. So think of those people. Think of all of those people when you're doing your budget, planning your budget process. I mean, I'm not here to be a jerk. I offered to volunteer. I've made an offer to Rose and the town manager to help out and offer my talents with marketing, writing, things like that. So I'm not here to be a jerk, but I'm here to ask you to be mindful of that. That's all.
Thank you for your input.
Okay.
We're happy you're here.
I
What
am.
grade do you want to be a volunteer?
I'll be a volunteer for anything. So here's the thing. I was hoping to semi-retire this year. It ain't happening because of sort of the current financial landscape. But where I can find time to help out, I absolutely would. I mean, I'm a dog watcher, I'm a grandma, I watch my grandkids. In fact, that's what I'm going to be doing in an hour because my son's a state trooper. So I watch the kids overnight. And I work a full-time job. But you have people in this town who would be willing to help. Not everything has a budget number. I don't know a lot about grant writing, but I'm a writer. And if there's more grants you could apply for, I would help out with that. just look for other avenues and be mindful that not everybody's living in that 7-bedroom house. That's all.
Thank you.
Okay.
Tell Margaret hello.
I will.
Do my best.
I'll be seeing him in an hour.
Stay safe out there. We praise
Do
you
we
for your
have a
service.
dedicated grant writer? Do we have?
We got to, and not to go into this, but because grants run out, and then we were replacing holes, and that's why where we're at right now. A lot of the grants, anything that we put in for, there's no consistency with the longevity of them. So then we come back when they run out, and we say, now, as Martha just reported, we're in the hole. And that's the catch. That's the hardest part about it.
Free money doesn't last forever.
No, but there is money out there.
But if it's material things and capital things that are long-standing, but for personnel, either you let them go the next year or, when they run out. So we've explored a lot of that.
Okay, any other input from visitors? Rose?
Rose Angeloni, liaison to the Board of Ed from the Town Council. So my first question is, are we done with the administrator's contract? Was that settled? Because there was not a copy filed with the town clerk yet, and it did not come to the Town Council. And I see on your agenda...
Are you asking who are you asking as?
I'm here as liaison from the Town Council. That's how I announced myself.
Oh, so if it's not on the agenda, it's something you can put to me in writing, but we're sticking to
Well, this is visitor, no, this is visitor comments.
No, but we've gone through this before.
No, we haven't. I'm just asking the
Okay,
question.
So yes, the administrators have settled their contract, and they were waiting on their unit to sign off on it.
Okay, I'm just asking because I know there's a 30-day window from when it gets registered, and with us only having one meeting a month on there now. We used to have 2, so
Can you put that in writing
catch
tomorrow? When you get to the computer,
on there.
request it in writing.
So, I think that's a formality that you need to go through, and I don't have to make the request to send it. So when you're ready and you send it, then we'll act on it. I don't think that. We've never had to request contracts before, so I don't think that is our role to ask for the contracts. So when it's ready, you can send it forward. And hopefully it's within the 30-day window, because we only have one meeting now. And so, as I mentioned before, I think it would be very beneficial to reinstitute the budget subcommittee. That is where a lot of discussion took place between the Board of Education and the Town Council. It doesn't have to be monthly, it can be quarterly, whatever. But then those meetings are also open to, the town people. One thing that we have experienced a lot of is they want to know more information, and a way to do that is, by the subcommittee meetings. I know we televise our meetings so they can see them and things. I think it's great that you're going to have more informational meetings about your budget, and I know you get the word out through your students and through Power School and all of your digital things, but please also remember that at least 75% of the people don't have kids in the school system and don't have that connection. So if you're holding some informational meetings, please try and get the word out to the public also, and not just through the school students, through various means. Because I think it would be very beneficial to have those people also at those meetings.
Do you have a subcommittee for
communications? No.
No, for your budget, do you have a budget subcommittee?
We do. We have monthly meetings.
With the public?
They're open to the public. They're in council chambers.
Okay.
They're open to the public. Yep, they're posted. The agendas are posted on there. We meet the second Tuesday of the month at 5:30. And they're held in council chambers. So
the Board of Ed would be invited to come to that? Similar to what you're asking of us. And the public too, we could invite the public.
They're posted. Yep. If there's something that you want to get on the agenda,
to talk about, if you want me to.
Anything that's on the agenda, because you're asking to come into a budget meeting that's specific to the Board of Ed. And if there's something that you're interested in putting on the budget, about the budget, we could entertain that with you.
Right, so if you want me to make it a standing line item on our finance committee, I would be willing to do that for that subcommittee, is Board of Education, and make that a standing line item. So if you have anything, you can come. If you don't, we just move on it. It's your discretion.
It would be the same thing with you coming to every budget meeting with us. I don't see.
But you don't have one. That's what I'm saying.
But I'm saying, you're saying if there's something that we have for you, then we send it to you. So what's the difference with you coming to our meetings?
I guess I'm not following what you are saying.
If you have a specific item in the, if we resurrected these budget meetings, you're saying you're going to come to every meeting or representative.
The budget meetings prior to this were not specific. I mean, we went over any questions the Board of Ed may have, and it was more on your budget. The liaisons to the Board of Ed, and it was Marie Diamond and myself, we would come to those budget, because most of our discussions were generally budget.
But we're doing it now for transparency, so the public, that's why we stopped doing those. It wasn't because of COVID, it was because the new leadership of the board wanted these meetings done in public, so we didn't walk out during.
Okay, that's fine.
And then we would just say, okay, and it would be 30 seconds. We do it this way, so the public sees all of the discussion that the board is having about any line item, not behind closed doors with minutes taken and then walking out here. So there's a big difference to why we do it this way.
Because nobody ever came to the meetings. They were posted as well. They were posted, every meeting had to be posted.
And the public wants to see the dialogue about the budget.
Oh, yes. But when...
Well, that's fine.
Prior to Marjorie, the previous chair wanted to stop all these meetings at separate times and do everything in public while it was on camera.
Well, and that's fine, and I do encourage that, and I promote that, but you have to be very cautious as to when things are handed out, and you say, if you have any questions, email, and then you get into a discussion back and forth based on the email, because the public doesn't hear those questions either. So if you have, people have questions, the board have questions in regards to this budget, I totally understand, and we use the same practice. You email, here are things that I would like to talk about, so that you have the information ready for the meeting, but you have to be very cautious, and I know it's very hard on both sides, and it happens sometimes. You start getting into an email discussion amongst the group, and then no one knows about that. So that's my only concern.
We really don't get into discussions about it. It's just questions.
They're brought to the good of the order in the meeting. If there's any specific things that they want
Most of us are very good about not responding.
And they've been trained in.
We're very careful not to respond because it makes it a meeting.
It's just...
So we don't respond in that.
It's sending the questions in ahead of time, so we're not, so we can have answers to them.
So Martha has the time to get
Yeah, Martha has the information in front of her to answer them, and we copy each other, so I don't send the same question that two other people are sending. We do not get into discussions in email about it.
That's perfectly fine.
But you do want I thought, did you suggest a committee?
I suggest
what we're talking about is sitting with the town
Communications committee.
council and having a conversation about our budget.
Which is open to the
That's what we're
public.
talking
Which is open to the public as well.
Right.
It's open to the public as well.
So we are going to do that.
Okay.
Or we're going to offer to do that.
Yeah, no, I think
But we used to have a budget subcommittee and a
Communications subcommittee.
we used to meet before this meeting, but then
We changed it because we wanted transparency.
Well, and I feel even for board members, if I wasn't on
If you're not
that
on,
committee,
you
I
don't-
wouldn't be privy to those discussions.
You would
So
get
I
the
agree
Reader's
that that would
Digest.
not
we'd have to be careful showing up because then it was a quorum
Right. I don't think I would.
in the subcommittees, so that's why we...
Oh, yeah, right.
It's no different than policy. Beth gets a large amount of information and strikes and everything else, and then you get it, but then you don't hear all of those conversations. She comes back and represents that. With budget, it impacts everyone in the town, and it's something that we wanted to do on camera so that they heard the dialogue. And that was the reason why we did it.
And that's great. So your informational sessions, my only suggestion is to just get the word out to the whole public, not just through the school system, because I know that's a big way of doing it, is through.
We post all of our meetings here, correct?
Yes, and online.
So for the public?
They're on, if they want to find out. And I know the North Branford Pride page has been advertised as well.
Right, I mean, that's a good way to get it out to the people that don't have kids in the school system.
But we don't advertise this to the.
Right, not everybody has Facebook either.
No.
To the
Like, we post it.
We don't send that out.
No.
So don't assume that, what I'm saying is don't assume that people are getting notices that they're not. To my knowledge,
No.
we don't send anything out to the families
No.
stating the meetings either. So
To our students,
I
parents.
hear what you're saying, and yes, I think in general, our town, after seeing some comments myself, people want more of the when are the meetings, and, you know, we can do our best to throw that out on Facebook as well, if that seems
Right,
like a
and-
place where.
Right, and
But I'm just saying,
post it onto your website.
We don't send out to our parents and families, hey, we're going to have 2 budget workshops, please come. That, to my knowledge, does not happen.
It does not.
No,
Just so you're aware.
Right, no, I knew that, but I knew your way of communication is all digital and through the school and through that means on there. So if you add these meetings, because those aren't part of your schedule, then you just need a way to notify. I know you post them and stuff like that, but it's a meeting that normally has not happened in the past.
I think our board workshop.
Those have, yes, but
Yes.
Scott was.
Talking about the communications meeting.
No, Scott was talking about having a meeting to explain the budget, how it relates.
informational session.
An informational
I got you.
session. Those have not happened in the past.
Correct, I'm with you now.
So that's what I was talking about.
Okay, thanks.
On there. Thank you.
Definitely.
Okay, that was all. Thank you, everyone, for your input. Go to the board.
I got a question. So as we were going over the numbers and everything, I mean, unless I missed it, I don't think we got your goals for 2025 and 2026.
We haven't set any goals.
That's what I mean. So we haven't set any.
So we're
And we
working off,
typically
we're
do that.
working off what the charge was from the last year, using the building goals for each administrator with social emotional learning and then a measurable academic goal. And that was the charge from the last year, and that's what we're continuing to doing. So I'm meeting with them 3 times, and I can report to you the data back. We're at the midway point, so it'd be appropriate. I can update you on those goals.
So there won't be any, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to understand it. So there's no new goals, or there are the goals from?
No, they're
Continuation.
Well,
Okay.
they're social emotional learning, environment-based goals with staff morale and culture climate within the buildings, things that they're doing in each school. And then there's the academic measurable piece, using SMART goals for, you know, the language arts, math, at all the levels. So everyone is assessing, except for in the lower grades, on a standard score, but we still use benchmarks there to show growth. So each administrator gives their
I
goals.
think I understand that part.
And I use those goals.
It's not January.
So it was in July, we said this.
Yeah, fiscal year.
So it was done from July.
We did
That's
not
what
come
they-
up with new goals for this year for the
No.
superintendent.
That's what I
No,
mean.
with the last chair, we were using them,
Beginning of the school year.
the charge was to take the building goals, the administration that we adopted, and then bring those forward as goals I would represent at the board. So they're relevant to each building.
That was
So
changed
that's
from the
what
last,
that's what we're
the
working.
last board chair, yes.
What was changed? And
Just
when was that?
to continue with the
The process of
building-based
using school-related goals for the social
Did we
emotional
vote on
piece.
that?
But we didn't
Because I don't
vote on
remember
it.
discussing this
Well,
at
that
all.
was, it was the last chair that's,
Yeah, we didn't vote, we didn't like vote officially on it, we sat and talked about it.
and that's what we were gonna do.
But normally we vote on it and it's a
We
discussion.
go to private
come in
session and we
different-
talk about the goals for
Right.
the superintendent. We haven't done that this year.
So I can send you the goals that we're working off of, unless you have new goals
Well, I just,
for the second half.
like I said, I was just looking at this, and I'm like, wait a minute, we didn't discuss this, and I think it was all, the stuff was happening because it happened to be when the former chair was leaving, and during that time, for whatever reason.
Well, we were under that, and that's what we were working off of.
Right.
So unless you have a different
So should we do that? Should we get that on the agenda so that we do come up with goals for, and...
Well, we're halfway through the school year.
So,
We can set it up for next year.
All right, for this school year that we didn't set new goals, maybe an update would be.
Yeah, we'll update on.
Right,
Because
he sets goals with all the different administrators
Right,
in
in each building, so maybe an update would be good for mid-year, and
Yeah, I can share with her. We were just doing what we were asked to do. I mean, that's,
Nothing changed.
unless you have something different that you wanted to see in the form of a goal, then we were happy for the year with what we've been doing.
I did ask Carter for some information, and I shared that with everyone this afternoon, so those were,
But that's all part of it.
that's all part of it.
That's all part of my goals but it would be specific to each building for assessment results and what we targeted and what we're looking to achieve and how we're going to do it.
Okay, so I think that would be, if we could get an update,
I'll update you.
that would be great for February.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kim, for bringing that up. Appreciate that. Anyone else good at the board? I know I'm hot too. The next regular Board of Education meeting is scheduled for Thursday, February 20th, 2025. Would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned.
Don't have to ask me twice.
It doesn't have to be seconded either.